Welcome, everyone. My name is Yvette Branik. I am the Student Affairs and Admissions Advisor here at the Funk Institute for Engineering Leadership at UC Berkeley. And during our time together this morning, please feel free to ask questions at any time using the Q&A text box within this webinar interface, and those will be addressed during the panels. We also are recording this webinar, so don't worry if you miss some information, you can always come back to it later. We will be sharing this recording on the new Admit website. So again, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are. We are thrilled to have you here virtually with us today. Thank you so much for tuning in during this unprecedented time in our lives. Many of you have a lot of going on right now, and we hope to give you as much information as possible so that you can make an informed decision about your future. As we hold that piece, we also want to congratulate you for being admitted to our one-year accelerated Master of Engineering program. This has been a really competitive year. The MEng is an excellent springboard for students who are looking for a deeper understanding of technical engineering topics, while also preparing for leadership and management roles in the industry. As you can see on this slide, we have four main qualities we want to focus on, and that's innovation, inclusivity, initiative, and integrity. And these are the qualities which we believe set us apart from other similar programs. In the next hour, we'll go into detail about what this means to us, and we will hear from MEng students, alumni, faculty, and staff. Okay, so we have a lot going on this morning. On our agenda is a brief introduction about engineering leadership concepts. Then we will cover the program academics, capstone experience, career development at the Funk Institute, followed by a Q&A session. Today, we will be joined by our amazing staff at the Funk Institute who work in partnership with the 7 engineering departments at UC Berkeley to provide you with the best possible experience. So we'll hear from each of them in turn. And today we are also going to be joined by our alumni and current students during the student experience panel. And you'll be hearing more from them also throughout the webinar during different sections. And now let me introduce Professor Lee Fleming, who is the faculty director of the Coleman Funk Institute of Engineering Leadership. Lee teaches engineering leadership in a capstone lab within the Master of Engineering curriculum. His research applies machine learning and NLP techniques on large data sets with causal inference models from management and social science. And previously, he was a professor at the Harvard Business School. Welcome, Professor Fleming.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Yvette, and welcome, everybody. It's a virtual welcome right now, but we certainly hope to be seeing you in person. No promises, but California and Silicon Valley, they're amazing places, and we hope to see you next fall. So here's a mission statement, and a good mission statement captures what you want to do, and more importantly, it helps inform what you do as an organization and as we do here at the Institute. So our mission is to create inclusive leaders who solve the world's problems through innovation, technology, and collaboration across boundaries. And that's that mission sounds simple, but it informs everything we do. And I think it helps us provide you a transformational experience when you come here to UC Berkeley. It also informs, we go to our next slide, it also informs what we do and how we get you a job. You know, it's a very aspirational statement, but it's also got some very pragmatic and useful impact. And what we hear time and time again from employers, this is going back 10, 20 years now, is that, yeah, we accept that you've got good technical students and you got into UC Berkeley, into graduate school at UC Berkeley, so you're all phenomenally good at the technology. But what the employers say is we want more than that. We have to have better than that. We have to have leadership. And we get very specific about these questions, and they say, we need to have your students be able to work in a team. We need to be able to communicate. They have to solve problems and show a strong work ethic. But all these things are on top of the technical skills. And that is the essence of the Berkeley MEng. Berkeley MEng will give you, you're gonna get a graduate degree in engineering from one of the world's best engineering schools, but you're also gonna get integrated with this engineering, the leadership that's important. And this will help your career in many ways. There's an old joke, Berkeley's arch rival is Stanford. There's an old joke that Berkeley engineers work for Stanford graduates. This degree is to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. And this degree is to give you the leadership that you can use to manage and to lead your own organization. So without the leadership expertise here, your career might top out. But with the leadership expertise, it will continue to flourish and move ahead. Next slide, please. Now, we just don't talk about this. We actually have some pretty good results to show you. And in our first few years of this program, we had 6 alums make the top 30 under 30 list on Forbes and Inc. As you can see here, they come from a wide variety of the departments, and it's a testament. This isn't just good marketing. This is testament to the quality and to the caliber of the program you will get here. So we have a lot of fantastic people for you to meet today, and so I'm going to move it over now back to Yvette and welcome you again and congratulations. And please let us know if there are any other questions if you have about the MEng degree.
Thank you, Lee. So as our next section, I would like to introduce our student affairs team who are here to support your MEng experience. You already met me, the admissions advisor. My colleague Claire Trias is the student affairs and capstone advisor. And my colleague Beth Levin is the program development director. And they are both here today to answer your questions. We want to address a lot of questions you might have arising from the recent news on the coronavirus pandemic. We understand that many of you have questions about campus plans for fall 2021, specifically the instructional format, and we want to share this information with you as proactively as possible. We are doing this using our new admin website and the Whova app. We also encourage you to visit the UC Berkeley News website on a regular basis. At the moment, the Berkeley campus is planning for primarily in-person enrollment in the fall, with some options for remote instruction to ensure physical distance and safety, and also to accommodate international students who may not be able to get visas in time. But these plans are contingent on the public health conditions at the time and are subject to change. So you have made the decision to consider Berkeley, a world-renowned engineering institution, for an opportunity to access the dynamic culture of Berkeley, which is one of excellence, international community, innovation, and leadership. And we are proud of our distinguished faculty and alumni that make Berkeley a world-class institution. On this slide, you can see a summary of some of the awards we have received. The worldwide Berkeley engineering community includes more than 62,000 alumni in more than 114 countries and all 52 states. Berkeley engineers have literally built this state, from its transportation system and aerospace industry to the high-tech powerhouse that is Silicon Valley, and we are really proud of this. All departments in the College of Engineering, specifically, are recognized for excellent teaching and research. We hope that by the end of this presentation, you will have gained an appreciation for the vitality of the Berkeley engineering community and feel even more confident about choosing Berkeley for your graduate education. So let's talk a bit about the Berkeley MEng program design. This image of interlocking gears illustrates the highly integrated nature of our curriculum. At the top of the screen is our leadership curriculum, with courses that cover everything from strategy to business innovation and communication skills. At the bottom, you can see our technical specializations in 7 engineering departments. And these both come together within the Capstone project, which is represented by the middle blue gear. So what does a typical year look like in the MEng program? Each semester begins with an intensive engineering leadership bootcamp, which always starts a few days before the start of the semester. And after that, you will be completing some technical electives and some leadership classes during each semester, while also working on your capstone project with a small team. Many students also take extra electives in the business school and the School of Information. And this here is a closer look at our MEng leadership curriculum. So during the fall bootcamp, you will be taking organizational behavior and R&D management classes. Those are the ones in blue. And during the spring bootcamp, you get to choose from several options based on your specific interests. So we can choose global leadership, you can choose digital platform strategy, accounting and finance, and many others. And additionally, each semester, you will be completing 2 semester-long classes, which are the ones in gold, and those are teaming and project management and communications. And these are very well connected with your capstone project work. All these classes are designed to develop leadership skills, which are so crucial to succeed in an industry role. We realized that this is a lot to fit into 2 semesters, so we want to make sure we give you support at many levels. We have our career development and student affairs team to support you. You'll hear from them in just a little bit. We have the department advisors and faculty advisors, the wider Berkeley campus community, specifically the international office. And then you also get support from your course instructors and teaching assistants. So there are many levels of support to make sure your experience here is successful. And now I will hand it over to Claire and our alumni panel.
Hello, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Yvette. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being tuned in today. Before we hear from the panel, I just want to do a quick warm-up poll. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to launch that. So I'll give everybody a few seconds to respond to the poll here. Just a fun warm-up exercise. All right, I think majority has voted. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and then I'm going to launch it. So we have about 48% who want to be able to read minds. And then we have coming up in second place, 24% able to fly. This is going to be a fun group. Thank you so much for your participation. I'm going to go ahead and stop results. Hello, I hope everybody can see me. So I am Claire Trias. I am a student affairs and capstone advisor. And I am here going to be moderating the student and alumni panel, and you'll be hearing from them throughout this presentation. And as a student affairs and capstone advisor, just wanted to quickly let you know that I am here to support you from the very beginning of the program up until graduation in academic advising and capstone advising. So today, our theme, as you saw earlier, is steps to engineering leadership, integrity, inclusivity, initiative, inclusivity, and innovation. And in just a few seconds, you'll hear from our panel and how these key themes have been incorporated into their MEng experience. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and have the panel introduce themselves. We're going to start with Alagu, and then we'll work our way across the slides. So alumni, feel free to, students and alumni, please feel free to turn on your video. And we're going to start with Alagu. Please go ahead and tell us your department and your undergrad degree.
Hey guys, I'm Alagu. I was in the EECS department, class of 2016. I did my undergrad in India from Anna University, and I'm currently a software engineer at LinkedIn.
Anna?
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm currently in the mechanical engineering department with a focus on biomechanics, but I got my undergraduate degree in biomedical engineering at Vanderbilt University.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Anthony. I graduated last year with the mechanical engineering degree with a concentration in control robotics. My undergrad experience was back in the East Coast. I was at University of Rochester, also mechanical engineering. So Nick.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick. I'm a current MEng student in the IER department. I completed my undergrad in the IER department at Berkeley as well, and joined the MEng program right after undergrad. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you, everybody. First question, and this is for Anthony. Anthony, could you please tell us what was your favorite course of the program and why?
Oof. I think my favorite course was industry analysis with the during the boot camp. Being so close to one of the biggest startup hubs in the world, Silicon Valley, it is important to build not only the technical skills, as Lee had mentioned, but also the leadership mind to gauge whether the solution or service a company provides is competitive in the market. So in that class, we learned some frameworks such as Porter's 5 forces to analyze various industries and observe trends. So these concepts also extend to understanding the company's innovation approach, sort of like their inclusivity, integrity, and more. So overall, that course really offers a different perspective for when I even do job search.
Thank you, Anthony. Next question is for Alagu. Alagu, what's one piece of advice you wish you knew before joining the program?
More than one piece of advice I wish I knew. This is something I did, and I would highly recommend that everyone else also do. Make relationships outside your classroom. The technical part of the program is really good, but also your classmates are from all over the world, very smart people. So try to make relationships with them, because it's that network that comes a long way. If you're trying to search for a job after your grad year, or you're trying to have a startup and you're looking for people to join, your Berkeley classmates are the best people to go reach out to. So make the best out of the time outside the classroom as well.
Thank you, Alagu. Next question is for Anna. During these uncertain times, how do you maintain a school-life balance with a 9-month year-long intense program?
Sure, it's a great question. It's definitely a fast-paced program. It's 1 year, it's very accelerated, and maintaining that school-life balance can be a little bit difficult, especially in the virtual space. But I really like to balance that time I spend in classes and working on the capstone by making time for exploring the Bay Area, and also by pursuing new areas of interest. Specifically, I've taken the year to lead an affinity group in sports tech topics, which has been a great outlet for finding something interesting and fun to do outside of class. And I'll also reiterate what Alagu was saying. It's really important to make those connections with the people in the program, and to network and get to know who you're in class with, because I think that's one of the biggest parts of this program is who you're here with.
Thank you, Anna. I do have a quick follow-up question for you. Can you talk about your involvement with the Sports Tech Affinity Group?
Sure. Yeah, this has been a fun opportunity. So at the beginning of the year, they reached out and wanted people to come forward if there were areas of topics that you wanted to potentially lead a group in. And so I decided to pursue sports tech with a small group. It's about 6 students in the program. And so I'll occasionally pull together a panel, and I send out a monthly newsletter that talks about what's going on in the field of sports tech. And it's just kind of a fun opportunity to explore something new, with those in the program?
I chose to enroll in the MEng program mainly for the reason of its integration of technical coursework with alongside leadership kind of development. I think this is I would say underrated skill maybe in industry, and be that starting a startup or working in a more traditional company. I think that's primarily the reason why I chose the MEng program. I can go into greater detail if anybody would like as well.
All right, I do see some questions here. Let's see. Anthony, could you please tell us, we have one question here about how did you decide on Berkeley's program as opposed to other programs that you were admitted to? Let's start with Anthony.
Thank you for the question. That's a great question. So actually, when I when I applied for graduate schools, I knew kind of like the direction that I want to go into, which is robotics, right? And then I was also thinking location was also another big thing of mine. So I actually applied to 3 schools only. So 2 of them are out in California. One is UC Berkeley, and I will reserve the other one. And the other one's back in my University of Rochester, which is just like a backup. But for me, Berkeley really stood out to me because of, well, first and foremost, I haven't stayed extensively in the Bay Area. I thought it would be exciting to explore that a little bit. And then knowing Silicon Valley is really close by, and that just went on LinkedIn, did some research on different companies that are around here in the Bay. So I thought that was like a great opportunity. And then it's just Berkeley itself is just very interesting. The city and the people. It was, yeah, I was just hooked once I visit day. I came to Berkeley and visit. And then on top of that, also, of course, like Berkeley is one of the most prestigious, if not the best public school ever. And so the EECS department is definitely top notch. The mechanical engineering too, I have explored a little bit, but I'm not super sure about the IEOR and other department, although I'm sure everybody is really good. So for me, it was just a no-brainer not to enjoy the California weather and just take advantage of the great pool of smart people in the industry, and being so close to the startup hub, and still having a kind of great balance to interact with cool people in Berkeley. So I hope that answered your question.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Anthony. And I wanted to, we have time for just one more question, and then we're going to move on and learn more about the capstone, but the student panelists will be back for each section. So I'd like to know, let's see, from Anna, please, if you considered any MS or PhD programs, and then why you chose the MEng over a MS or PhD program.
Sure. I was considering looking at MS programs as well. The big difference here is they're a 2-year program, usually with some sort of research thesis. And to me, I really wanted some industry experience. I wanted more of a professional style degree program. And this program focuses so much on engineering leadership that was a huge pull for me. So I really wanted to come into this program and yes, get better with my engineering technical knowledge, but also come out of this being ready to lead groups and lead teams. And so it is a fast-paced program. It's an accelerated 1 year rather than 2 with an MS, but the pull with the content of this program really is really the reason I chose it.
Great, thanks, Anna. All right, now I think we'll move on to the capstone experience.
Hello, it's great to be here with you this morning. My name is Alex Valeev. and I work with Claire Trias. We've been at Cal for a number of years, and we very much look forward to working with you next year. I myself graduated from Cal in 2014. My doctoral research was on youth politics, peer-to-peer learning, and leadership. And as you can see on the next slide, what drives my work is very much interest in leadership and collaboration. And capstone projects lie at the very heart of your Berkeley MEng leadership journey. So what's the philosophy behind these projects? First of all, capstone is an opportunity to develop your innovation skills. And this means an opportunity to take initiative, to experiment with, to develop, and to evaluate a technology that can satisfy a particular need. And some projects are more technologically focused than others based on the questions that have been asked so far. It's clear that some of you are more interested in research, some of you are more interested in industry, and we have a wide array of projects. In some cases, you'll be working off fresh off new research. In some cases, you'll be working on figuring out how to commercialize a particular piece of research. And in some cases, you'll be working on new product development. The focus on innovation in its three different forms, whether research, whether commercialization or product development, is supported by three principles. So as you can see on the next slide, the first principle has to do with experiential learning. By the time we start grad school, we become pros in learning from textbooks and professors. So we've cultivated our expertise. However, when we start work, there is no textbook, no professor, and no problem set. We are increasingly asked to innovate rather than to demonstrate our pre-existing expertise. And this is why, to ensure your professional success, it's crucial to figure out how to learn from experience, to learn by doing rather than being instructed or being told what to do. So the first thing I want to say about Capstone is that it is not a course in a traditional sense of the word. And that's really important when it comes to your professional journey. What the employers are going to look for from the time you graduate till the time you retire is your ability to learn from experience and your ability to prove that you can learn from experience, which is to say by working in an ambiguous environment with multiple stakeholders and needing to figure out your own path. So on the next slide, you can see our second capstone design principle. And this has to do with working on a real life challenge. So capstones are not make-do projects. I know that a number of you are well-versed in project-based learning, where you take a class and there is a project that's based on class materials. And capstone projects are not like that. They're not based on, they do not ask you to demonstrate knowledge that you've acquired in a lecture class. They ask you to develop new knowledge that has not yet been developed before. So you're typically working on overcoming a recent problem or a problem that's happening right now. And this is particularly important to mention today as we are continuing to deal with COVID. Over the last several years, we've had projects dealing with pandemic resilience, with rapid point of care testing, with modeling population dynamics in critical conditions. And, you know, if I were to talk to you back in September, when in addition to COVID, we were dealing with wildfires, I would have highlighted teams that are working on solving the fire crisis, teams that are using machine learning to map drivers of wildlife risk, to design drones that can withstand the stress of flying over a raging fire, and so on. So the bottom line here is that at a time of crisis, which is our time, engineering becomes more important than ever. For it will be engineers who have the ability to develop technological solutions to global challenges and develop them in real time, and develop them not based on what's happening in the library, but what's happening out there in the real world. And when I say engineers, I'm using the word plural intentionally. As you can see on the next slide, a central aspect of Berkeley MEng has to do with teaming. Complex problems require highly effective teams. After you graduate, you will be a part of a team, no matter what job you take. And having a chance to learn how to build inclusive teams, to understand how teams work, is probably the single most important learning outcome of your capstone experience. And this is one reason that capstones are at the core of a highly integrated curriculum. There are 3 leadership courses that are based on your capstone project. In the fall semester, it's teaming and project management. In the spring, it's coaching for high-performing teams and communication for engineering leaders. I want to say that this year we've done a great deal of work developing curriculum for remote teaming and remote communications. And the reason why I'm saying this is not to highlight the fact that we've adapted to a situation that's really unprecedented in the higher ed. The reason that I'm saying that is because our world has changed over the last year. Remote work is the future. Just last week at our alumni happy hour, I was talking with a 2017 grad who got his first fully remote job, working on a team that includes folks on the East Coast, in Europe, and Australasia. So the challenge of the day is very much how to work on projects that do not come with a shared office. And what I want to say is that we can prepare, we can help you prepare to meet this challenge head on. So I talked about our mission, the commitment to leadership. I discussed 3 principles that support this mission, and now I'd like to share, to switch gears a little bit and share with you the logistics. So if we go on to the next slide, you will see that there are basically 2 types of capstone projects, and we have university-led projects, and these are supervised by faculty, graduate students, and postdoctoral researchers from across the College of Engineering. So if you're interested in research, there is plenty of opportunity to pursue work with on cutting edge topics with top minds in the field. The second type of projects, and you'll be able to see it on the next slide, are partner topics. And these are supervised by technical experts outside of the College of Engineering. They typically involve proprietary technology. And some of our partners are major national and international corporations. We've had students working with General Motors, with NASA, with Siemens, with Volvo. But as you can see from the next slide, we also very much draw on the Bay Area's unique ecosystem. We have many partners down in the valley. So if you're looking to get this kind of experience, Capstone offers you an opportunity to do so. And equally importantly, we also draw on Berkeley's position as a premier center of research and partner with a variety of research-focused organizations outside of Cal, such as National Labs, UC San Francisco, and so on. And what I'd like to highlight about this year's project list that you'll be able to access later on today is that we have more partner interest today than ever. And I think this has to do with two things. First, we value our connections with industry. We intentionally seek out and develop relationships with industry actors across the Bay Area and the United States. But second, compared to other industries, tech is comparatively least affected by the COVID crisis. And thirdly, as I said earlier, I believe that today, as we're dealing with more and more complex problems, there is more need for engineers than ever. And these are three reasons why we have so many industry actors wanting to partner with us. Moving on to the next slide, I want to say a few words about the logistics. Later on today, you'll be able to see preliminary project titles on the new ADMIT website. And this is a preliminary list. It will change somewhat over the course of the next few months. Some projects will be added, some will be consolidated. From April onwards, the process is going to be a bit different depending on what's your department or concentration. So you'll notice that the list to which you'll have access on later today won't have projects for ECS or for FinTech. So if you're pursuing a project in ECS, you'll need to reach out to Michael Sun. This project list will be posted shortly on the EECS website. And if you're working on FinTech, Professor Shin Guo is your primary contact. Professor Lee Fleming can answer more questions about intellectual property and entrepreneurial strategy concentration. So later on today, you'll be able to see project titles. As for complete project proposals, we'll release them most likely in early August, so a couple of weeks before you get here. You'll be able to access it online. And during your fall boot camp, I think typically it happens during the second week of the boot camp, this is when we have a series of webinars. And you can meet with faculty and partners who proposed the project, find out more about their proposals, get some help both from me and the career development department on how to prepare a successful application. You'll use an online system to apply for your top 3 projects. Then you'll get offers. Some of you will have interviews and you'll decide which project you'd like to pursue. So this is a competitive process, both for advisors and students. It gives you an amazing opportunity to get into the recruiting mindset early on before recruiting actually starts. And I'd like to reassure you that at the end, every student gets a project. Not every advisor gets a student, but every student gets a project. And 90% of the applicants get one of their top 3 picks. And then after you accept your offers, your department needs to approve your placement, and then the fun starts. Every week you meet with your team, either in person or online, for typically 2 working sessions, one with the team and one with the advisor. I'd like to move on to the next slide and say a few words about a really unique opportunity that we're offering for the first time for the class of 2021. Every year we have a few students who've been working on something really exciting during their undergrad, and they'd like to further their work during their MEng year. And this year we have an opportunity whereby new students can pitch their own project. So it is a competitive process to submit a project proposal. It's also a really exciting process. You can find more about it on our FAQ website. I am available to answer your questions. I very much look forward to the capstone focus session on April 1st and can talk more about this then. The deadline to submit your proposal is in about a month and a half. I also very much look forward to seeing many of you. As you can see on our next slide, we have our capstone showcase coming up in about a month and a half. And if you come, what you'll see is an amazing array of teams that are working on problems across the globe. And I'd like to invite you to be a part of an international cohort that is shaping the planet. And with that, I want to pass it on to our student team.
Thank you, Alex. And I just want to quickly add that we will announce the invitation to the MEng annual capstone showcase on Hoover. So everybody is invited to attend. I'm going to welcome the panelists back. Please go ahead and turn on your video. This first question is for, well, this question is for Alagu and Anthony, but starting with Alagu, can you please tell us, how did working on the capstone help you develop your leadership skills?
So working on the capstone actually imitates your team at work. One, apart from the technical skills that you acquire, it's the soft skills, the communication, the presentation skills. These things came in very handy when I started my work, like fresh out of grad school. When I started work, communication and presentation was what I was appreciated for. So executing the project, figuring out like deadlines, when you write design docs, that is very, very important. And how to write is something, again, like the MEng program stresses on. So you have your design docs well written. So all these soft skills that I picked up in my capstone project came in very handy at work.
Thank you, Alagu. Next question is for Anthony. Same question.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. And thank you, Alagu. Like 100%, that was like a perfect answer. I totally resonate with that. So yeah, just adding on top of that, what Alagu had mentioned is that like, you know, the side classes that, the side leadership classes that MEng offers really help us, you know, perform our sprints to get work done more efficiently. That's really like similar to what you're expected to do at work. And again, like with great documentation is something that I think most company needs. And again, developing better communication skills within your own team and through presentation to your advisor or supervisor and other is a great skill to have that I think not many other program offers.
Anthony, I have another question for you. Thank you for sharing. What were your takeaways from the capstone experience?
The takeaway. I would say there are two folds to my takeaways from my capstone experience. First, from the technical perspective, I get to work with some cutting edge technologies, to be honest. It is pretty expensive and very small little micro mirror, a MEng mirror. It is to develop a viable solution to a project. Innovation, I would say, is really the driver of these projects. And second, it's been an amazing experience working with my fellow MEng cohort and with the UC Berkeley faculty. My project, which was an laser-based communication protocol for unmanned underwater vehicle. The project was funded by a research lab in Cal. The support from our advisors was invaluable to our success, especially during the sudden impact from COVID in my year. And everyone in my group was also very easygoing and very inclusive environment and has great work ethics. Simply put, I think despite COVID, I wouldn't change anything very
Anthony, you kind of broke up there for a little bit, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and move on. Thank you, Anthony. The next question is for Anna and Nick. So coming from a current student's perspective, we would like to know what are some takeaways from the capstone experience you have learned so far? And let's start with Anna.
Sure. So the capstone experience has been pretty wonderful so far. One of the biggest takeaways for me is how important it is to be open to new experiences. So during the process of choosing the capstone projects, I was really nervous about maybe exploring new areas. Since the capstone is such a big part of the program, I didn't want to make the wrong decision. But choosing a project that focuses on virtual reality, which was something new to me, ended up being the best decision I could have made. I've really enjoyed this learning and contributing to something new. So I would take away that being open to new experiences is huge. And another thing I would say it's been really impactful has been the overwhelming support from the advisors, the professors, and the MEng staff. Joining a group and finding a rhythm for working together is a hard process and definitely was more so virtually. But kind of what Alex was getting at earlier is that the support and coaching along the way has really helped our team become a group that can really work together cohesively, even though we've actually never met in person. So yeah, I would say that this level of support is really unique to Berkeley and is pretty much one of my favorite things about it here.
Thank you, Anna. Same question for Nick.
Yeah, I would say the capstone experience from my personal perspective has been great as well. I would say the capstone is sort of like an opportunity to apply theory, like the teaming theory, into practice. And this is something that I would imagine would be extremely beneficial during the program itself, but also after the program, because you would get a kind of dissection of what is working in your internal team dynamics, what is not. And I think having such great and supportive staff members, faculty, kind of be a sounding board for advice as your team goes through the kind of ups and downs of the capstone experience has been great. I think this is something that it offers a time for reflection, and afterwards I would imagine you'd be able to derive a lot of learning, and that's definitely something I've felt.
Thank you, Nick. Now I'm going to turn it over to some Q&A. Do we have 1 to 2 questions specifically for the panel about the Capstone Experience program? Are there questions from the audience?
Yes, Claire, there are. Let's see. So I think a big one overall for our students are balancing the capstone work with other classes and with the job search, given the brevity of the program. So Alagu, can you speak to that in terms of maybe how you balanced your dedication to your capstone and your other priorities?
Yeah, sure. So actually one thing that helped at me or my fellow capstone, so the first half was, I think it's only 2 credits, and most of the capstone work was done in the second semester, the 3 credits. So we concentrated on the job search because we have a special EECS career fair also in September. So all the major career fairs were in fall. So we all got done with our job search in fall, and we used the spring to like focus more on the capstone project. I know this might not be the case for everyone. I know how my roommates did it as well. But there was enough time to balance both. And Berkeley especially has these career fairs, and most of the companies come to Berkeley. So you will still have time for both. And I think all the staff were very understanding. If there was something like a career fair, they did push deadlines, soft deadlines that we had within ourselves to finish certain milestones in the capstone.
Thank you very much, Alagu. For our next presentation, for our next segment, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to the Career Services team. But before we do, we're going to go ahead and do a quick poll. So panelists, we'll hear from you a little later after the Career Services presentation. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick poll here. Another fun poll. And I'm going to go ahead and launch that now. Give everybody a few seconds to respond. All right. We are coming to an end here. Majority has responded. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll here, and I'm going to share the results. All right. Wow. Okay. 48%, 1 to 2 years of internship experience, and 20% is other. Thank you so much for your participation. And now I'm going to turn it over to Julie McShane in the Career Development Services team.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Claire. I just want to say congratulations again on your mission to the MEng program, really a big, huge accomplishment. The career development team consists of myself and Dione Rivera, and we work to bring you the most up-to-date resources and are trained in innovation and innovative coaching techniques. Thank you to Dione for being here today and answering questions live. So you'll see her in the chat and the Q&A. Thank you for helping out there. I have worked in higher education for about 17 years, and I've been at the Fung Institute for almost 10 years. I am passionate about career education and helping people leverage their strengths to find a job that they love. I'm also passionate about working with engineers in the tech community. Especially now, as you've heard today as a theme, we need engineering leaders more than ever. I'm going to outline the 3 distinct areas that we focus on in our career development program. 1 being professional skill development, 2, our alumni and engaging with alumni, and 3, our partnership network. We expect students to utilize all of these areas to develop their professional skills, to find mentorship opportunities, and additional ways to exploring your career and to flex your leadership skills that you're learning in the program outside of the classroom. So what we call experiential learning. So as usual, we have a very diverse group with us today. Thank you for tuning in from all over the world. And as you saw with our poll, we have people that are coming into the program with diverse work experience, everything from internships to early professionals to people that are probably looking to pivot later on in their careers. So I hope I can answer all of your questions today. Please keep submitting them in the Q&A, and Dione will answer some of them live, and we'll turn some over to our panel at the end. If you're interested in learning more, both Dione and I are hosting office hours next week, and we're having a separate alumni career panel, so you can register for those on the website as well. And we'd love to see you join us next week. So over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you a preview of customized MEng career services and the network we offer. Just like we expect our students to innovate, we never stop innovating as well. And I'll highlight some of the things that we worked on over the last year. You heard about affinity groups already, and Anna's leading one of those. As the economic landscape and the nature of work has shifted over the past year, we have as well. And of course, I'll share some career data. That's always people's favorite. So I'll go into career data at the end of my presentation. So my next slide, Lee had his mission statement. Dione and I have our own mission statement as well. And this really encapsulates what we're looking to achieve with the career development program at the Fung Institute. More than that, I want to highlight that if you choose the MEng program, it all starts now. Today is your first step. Every opportunity from the Ambassador Directory to the Whova app, to engaging with us during this webinar and throughout next week are opportunities to advance your career goals. You've heard some of our current students and alumni say how important that is to reach out, to network, to get to know your classmates. It all furthers your career exploration. So congratulations on being here today. You have officially started. And as soon as you join the program and get your @berkeley.edu, you can start working with us. We have our own networking platform called FI Connect that you can join with your @berkeley.edu. And you can do that as soon as April. We start working with students over the summer. So you can look forward to that. We host a variety of professional webinars to make sure that you're ready to start your career in the program and take advantage of all the resources that Berkeley has to offer. In addition to our resources, you'll also have access to top-tier resources like a robust career center on campus. And you just heard about the career fairs that are offered throughout the year. That's through the Career Center. We have highly active student organizations and other institutes like the Jacobs Institute for Design Innovation. And our students take advantage of all of that. Berkeley also has a very robust startup ecosystem. So if entrepreneurship, either starting at a company or working at a company, is of interest to you, there's a lot of opportunity for that. So our goal is to meet you wherever you are, whatever your goal might be. And we want to help you find those resources, the connections, and start paving that path to success, whether it is entrepreneurship or continue your education or pivoting in your career or finding that first job. We meet you where you are. And we really want to instill these skills so you can be successful in that MEng program and upon a graduation, but really for your entire career. If we've learned anything this year, it's you have to be adaptable and resilient. And that's important to us as well in our approach to career development. And we believe that by utilizing our programming, you'll be able to weather whatever your career throws at you or whatever unfolds in the future. So on my next slide, I have our approach to career development. So what kind of things that we offer? Like most things in our program, you can customize it and you get out whatever you put in. So you really need to take the initiative. We use a career coaching model to help you move forward in your career explorations and goal setting. And we believe that the job search is ultimately a process of communication. So you'll hear us referring to communication, all these different facets of the program, because it really is essential to your success. And it's not any different than in your job search or in your career. And we have programming that supports the entire job search cycle, whether it's cover letter writing or helping you prep for interviews. And we expect students to be able to utilize these skills at any point in their career. So always having the ability to write strong cover letters or resumes, developing strong networking skills, being resourceful and savvy in your job search, knowing how to know your market value and negotiate a salary that is good for you, and understanding the general job market and where the opportunities are. So we do all of this through one-on-one coaching. We run workshops throughout the year, but like I said, we start in the summer. So we start these workshops over the summer months and continue them throughout the year. We also integrate some of this into the classroom. So this does not stand alone, but we want you always thinking about how your technical skills, what you're learning in the capstone, how you can integrate that into your career, how you can leverage it, how you can talk about it, communicate it in interviews. There are even some specific assignments to give you time to think deeper about career exploration in the industries of interest. And then I think almost the most important piece is we create an inclusive atmosphere where you're really helping each other. You're getting to know each other. both in the capstone and in the classroom, but for your career. These are going to be your colleagues in industry, and we want to start fostering that relationship where you're helping each other in their career, even in the program. So my next slide talks about this second area, this other avenue that you have at your disposal. So exploring with alumni. Many students come into this program without a specific destination, and our programming, our coaching, and alumni network really help you with that. So some of the summer programming that I mentioned is a series run by alumni where they talk about their specific industries, how they got their job, how they leverage online branding, how they developed their portfolios, and then continues into a career chat series that covered topics like product development or how to conquer the technical interview. Our alumni network is highly engaged. We have an alumni board that works with us on creating some of this programming and helping us keep the broader alumni network engaged. FI Connect, the networking platform for our community that I mentioned, we have over 800 alumni that have opted into that want to connect not only with each other, but the current class. This year, one of our innovations, it was our goal to have every student that wanted a mentor to have that experience. So we ran 2 initiatives, one in September, a meet and greet with alumni. And every student that wanted to meet an alumni and be welcome to this community had that opportunity. And many even took it a step further, and those alumni reviewed their resumes as they got started in the program. And we're running an initiative right now, again, being matched with alumni based on your interests to help students through the job search cycle. So that started in February, is running through March. We also launched our new affinity groups this year that are supported by industry and alumni mentors. Anna talked a little bit about this. So it's not only a mentorship opportunity, but a great leadership opportunity for current students. And alumni have really been excited to work with those groups. So my next slide highlights our third avenue, connecting with industry. So we have a robust partnership network. And really, networking is one of the most helpful ways, if not the way, to get a job. So we really want to make sure that we are continually fostering and growing our partnership network, and it's growing every year. Last year, we kicked off the program with our Capstone partners hosting office hours and delivering workshops. So we definitely use those industry partners, not only for the Capstone, but to help in the career area as well. Our partners will also do MEng specific info sessions and tech talks and host design challenges or appathons. This year we did an idea-a-thon. And this is an opportunity, in addition to your capstone, to give you real world experience, being able to apply your technical and your leadership skills and solve problems outside of the classroom, something to add to your resume. The idea-a-thon actually that just wrapped, a student came to me later that week and said, one of the first questions I got in my interview was asking me about a problem where I had to generate a solution from start to finish. And they talked about the idea-a-thon and their pitch and what they put together with their team. So in addition to communication and mentorship, we want to make sure students are getting connected to these experiences where they can explore and grow and connect to industry. We also hosted an employer networking night where it was a mix of our partners, both from recruiting and Capstone and other industry that we work with. We work closely with the accelerator on campus called Skydeck, and we host recruitment events with them. So again, if startups is your thing, if you want to learn more about them or work at a startup or just gain some experience in an internship, that's a great opportunity. And we work very closely with Skydeck to make that happen. And just to highlight some of the other partners that we have both on campus in the Bay Area that are open to students. Again, the Career Center are running lots of industry programming. We work with the Haas Business School, the School of Information, the College of Engineering in general always has a great industry speaker series. And then there are professional organizations, student organizations that work with industry, and they range from energy to consulting and entrepreneurship. So there's really a lot of opportunity. You will never be bored in this program, basically, and there's a lot to take advantage of. So that's a brief explanation of how we have put together the career development program. Next, I want to go into our career destination data. So this is always some of the most commonly asked questions. I've seen some of them in the chat today. So I'm going to go over our most recent data. So from the 2020 graduating class, the rest of our data is on our website. So we have an archive going back numerous years, so you can sift through that. Our 2020 data is not on our website yet. So this is kind of a first peek. It should be up there in the next few weeks. But basically, we survey our graduating class from graduation up until 6 months out. And we collect all this data and we synthesize it, both for current students, prospective students, and alumni. You know, it helps everybody to have access to this type of information. So the next slide gives you a nice overview of the diverse pathways that students have taken after the program. What I love about this slide is it really highlights who will be your colleagues. So if you ever wanted to jump industries or you had a professional question, you will have colleagues across the spectrum in lots of different industries doing many different things. Again, from starting their own company to technically focused to managerial positions in startups and academia. So really we have a lot of diversity there. So on my next slide, I will get into the data. Again, these are some commonly asked questions, so I wanted to make sure I highlighted them. And really, as much changed over the last year or so and shifted, the fundamentals really stayed the same. And we didn't see our data shift that much. And I was very happy to see our 2020 grads were very successful. But I will say, one thing that was very clear was the students were relying more than ever on some of those soft skills that I mentioned. So the need to build written and verbal communication skills, to practice your interviewing, and to build a network that will help you connect to opportunities. So it's really essential for students to know their strengths, be able to advocate for themselves through their cover letters, resumes, emails. And it was key to get experience outside the classroom. So that was really a big driver for student success in general, but over the last year. So 70% of students from last year's class stayed and worked in the United States. And this is important because we do have a high international population. And a trend for this year, I will say this number is a little bit lower. So more of our students did go on to have global opportunities, but 70% stayed and worked in the United States after graduation. On my next slide, to give you a little bit of context to the data that we collect, we had 471 graduates in 2020. So our response rate was very high. And I think that speaks to our alumni community and how engaged they are, and you know, they want to let us know what they're doing. So we had a response rate of 80%. So we right now know where 80% of our 2020 grads and what they're doing, their postgraduate plans. And some fun facts from 2020, 5 went on to start their own company, and 10 are continuing their education. So that's a pretty stable trend we've seen the last few years. We always have students that will launch a company right out of the program, or go on to incubators, accelerators, or get funding right after the program. And we also have students that continue on to their PhD, their MBA, and decide that that's the path that they want to take. And we do see that every year. So we saw that in 2020 as well. My next slide talks a little bit more about California. Here we are in the Bay Area. We've heard today how many opportunities there are from Silicon Valley to San Francisco. So in 2020, 40% of graduates stayed in California. And I will say a trend for 2020 that was a little bit lower than what we see in past years. So students went to some new cities this year, or more cities than what we had seen in the past. So we had more students end up in Boston, in DC, and Austin, Texas was a big location. We had students move on to some global opportunities. We saw a big jump in students finding employment at companies like Tencent and Alibaba and ByteDance. But 40% of our students stayed in California. So we do have that robust network right here in California. It of course helps with all that programming that I mentioned. Some of our top California employers include Amazon. We had 27 students from the class of 2020 go to Amazon. 22 students went to Apple. Facebook and Google both saw 6 students each. And then we have students that go to Tesla right here in Fremont every year as well. And the same was in 2020. So those are some of our most popular California employers. So the next slide is again a commonly asked question. You can compare the salary data to years past and on our website, and you can actually drill down by department if you want. But I was happy to see that salaries did not increase or did not decrease in 2020. They stayed stable. If anything, our average signing bonus did see a bump, so that is higher than years past. And my disclaimer for salary, there's always quite a range with us because it is so unique to the type of job somebody gets, industry, company location, prior work experience. And so Dione and I work with students to make sure that you get the negotiation, have the negotiation skills to understand your market value and get the best salary and compensation package for you. But this is what we were seeing reported in 2020. So on my next slide, can kind of look at all the data at once. So just moving forward, I just want to again highlight that the most student success is really driven by being proactive. And taking advantage of these resources that are at the Fung Institute and on campus. So taking that initiative, which you're already doing. You're here today, you're listening to our presentation, you're getting ready to make a big decision. And some things that you can really do, because I did see a lot of questions in the chat about it being a one-year program, and feel free to ask us more about that. And that's why we start working with you over the summer. We record all of our webinars, so you can you can watch them at your convenience, but you can work on things over the summer, like your resume. Even right now, as you're finishing your undergrad or your internships, or maybe a project at work, make sure you're taking those pictures, you're creating your portfolio, you're getting ready for that next step. Start building your LinkedIn profile. And then you'll really be prepared for when the program starts. So on my next couple slides before I wrap this up, you heard me talk a lot about our partnership programs. and whom we work with. Alex did as well for Capstone. But there's varying levels of engagement. I always like to highlight Blue Goji. That is Coleman Fung, the founder of the Fung Institute's company. He's a Capstone provider. He hires people out of the program, highly engaged individual and organization with the Fung Institute. We have founding partners that are all Capstone providers, and they recruit and they mentor. We have recruiting partners that come back year after year to recruit our students, but also provide workshops, like preparing for technical interviews, making sure that they're working with us on a deeper level. And then some of the project partners that we've worked with in multiple ways, both Capstone and for these partners that wanted to do things like office hours. So there's a lot of opportunities here. My next slide will wrap it up before we can turn it back over to the student panel. But I hope as I spoke, you can start envisioning yourself taking advantage of some of these 3 areas that I talked about today: developing your professional skills to be successful, finding alumni mentors, connecting with our partnership network to find new opportunities. And as I've mentioned, we've seen a lot of changes over the past year. But with that, there's been so many opportunities that are surfacing, especially for engineering leaders. And Dione and I hope that we get to work with you on that next step. So thank you for listening and being here today. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Claire.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to go ahead and welcome back the student and alumni panelists here. Feel free to turn on your video and we'll dive right into the questions. All right. This question is for Anna and Nick. Starting with Anna, can you please tell us what career services or programs have you taken advantage of so far while in the MEng program? For example, any design challenges, career fairs, networking events, or info sessions or mock interviews?
Sure. As Julie alluded to, there are a lot of different things you can participate in, and I had the opportunity to get to explore a few of those. And so I would just say, first and foremost, the career services at Berkeley are amazing. I've enjoyed working one-on-one with some of the Career Center staff to help with my material prep and creating a plan for the job search. On top of that, I've really enjoyed the events that the Career Center puts on, especially opportunities to connect and network with the alumni for alumni happy hours. And then back in the fall, the Career Center did a program where you could actually be paired with an alumni member to work on your resume together and get ready for job application submissions. And I participated in this, and not only is this a great way to get help with your resume prep, but it's also a really great way to connect and hear about an alumna's career journey and the steps they took to be where they are now. So these are just a handful of the things I've participated in, but there's so many opportunities to take advantage of, and it's a really wonderful opportunity here.
Thank you, Anna. Nick, same question.
Yeah, I feel like Anna has answered I would share similar sentiments to what Anna mentioned. However, to build on this from my personal experience, I would say I have spoken to, or I have definitely had the great privilege of being career coached by Dione and Julie, and I've had the opportunity to, I guess, speak with them one-on-one. They've been great advisors in that regard in terms of career search, as well as thinking about transitioning from one kind of industry alignment to another, and how to best set myself up for success, I guess, as somebody who's about to enter the workforce for the first time. And what else? I have also been to a number of Fung Institute hosted networking sessions that have been really great in meeting new people and just like chatting about their experiences, both from the MEng program and how that kind of translates over to, I guess, the project work they're doing in industry or in their own companies they're starting. So it's been a really exciting and great platform to meet and engage new people overall.
Thank you, Nick. This next question is for Alagu. Alagu, can you please share with us current problems you're solving at work? And perhaps elaborate on a technical and professional skill you have relied on during these uncertain times.
Yeah, sure, Claire. So at work, I'm a software engineer at LinkedIn, everything. So at this time, especially like we've been working remotely for more than a year. All you need is for a software engineer is a laptop and an internet connection, but that's not the case. After a point, you start to realize how hard it is to communicate remotely. You need to like communicate more than once. I feel like the soft skills that I picked up at Berkeley, especially the communication skills and how to get the team working with the team, really helps. So I think the most important thing is communication, especially working remotely.
Thank you, Alagu. This next question is for Anthony. Anthony, please tell us, how has your company adjusted during these uncertain times during the pandemic? And have you seen opportunities in your industry or field?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Claire, for the question. So I'm now working with an autonomous drone startup company. We aim to provide a fully integrated end-to-end solution for automated inventory management. So we are still a relatively small company, and our office is big enough to host up to several people at a time, but with adequate social distancing for sure. So during the pandemic, we have the sign-up sheets, and then only 2 people at a time are allowed to be in the office, and obviously we all wear masks and practice social distancing. So during the pandemic, our company adapts quite well. We also recently got funded by SoftBank. That is actually, as a whole in my industry, like we also find out that Skydio recently got like, I think, 1.9 billion funding also. So our industry is growing. So anybody who's interested in drone, maybe that's a field that I'm excited about, and I think it has a very good sign about the opportunities.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Those are all the questions for the student and alumni panel. And so we want to be mindful of time. We have 5 minutes remaining. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to my colleague, Yvette. Thank you, panelists, for sharing your experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So yeah, we have heard from a lot of our staff members and students. Thank you, everyone, for sharing all this information. And we only have about 5 minutes left to wrap up this webinar session. So we have time for some audience questions. Before we get to those, which have been given to us using the Q&A box, I just wanted to mention a couple resources for all of you. So as we mentioned previously, we have our new admit website, which has been updated basically every day with any most recent news. And some of the resources there are, well, one of the most useful resources there is definitely our MEng Ambassador Directory, which is a directory of all our alumni and current students who opted in to connect with new admins like yourselves to answer questions. So you can go there and you can search this directory, and you can find the specific alumni or current students you will be interested in connecting with, and they can definitely answer some of your questions better than we can. Let's see, let me just change the slide here. So let me just have a quick look at some of the audience questions which have been voted up the highest. So one question here is, which might have been partially covered by some of our alumni, with such a short program in the MEng, do you feel you were able to gain enough technical experience, or do you wish you had more time? Would any of our alumni like to answer that?
Yeah, sure. I can answer that.
Thank you.
So I always wish there was more time I could have spent like with the technical courses, but you get to like choose 4 technical courses and a capstone, which is yeah, it is good, but if you're really into like more research, then this might if you think 4 technical courses isn't enough, then it's a different scene. But if you're into industry, if you want to get into industry more the leadership side, this is like perfect.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I can also chime in a little bit. I think it is important to think about when you're debating between like a research focus or like an industry focus, is asking 2 different questions, either why or how. So why is a little bit more research focused. Like then obviously there's so much to learn. That's something that I found out about after the MEng program. Is even coming into the industry, like there's so much to learn. But then if you're a little bit more interested in the application side, then I would say it is okay as long as you have the good fundamental. And I think there's an adequate amount of technical courses that is offered from UC Berkeley and with this program. This definitely gives you a great fundamental, but as an engineer, there's no doubt about it that like you're always learning, you're always adapting. So there's always something new to learn. So I would say that's why and how is a question that you should ask yourself. Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony. So we only have 1 minute left, so I just want to emphasize again that this webinar has been recorded and it will be posted on our new Admit website. So if you missed anything, you can always revisit it. And it's been a pleasure to have you attend with us virtually today. Are there any closing words from the rest of our team?
Yes, Yvette, let's show the next final slide, please. So our admits can see all of this great information.
Thank you, Claire. So yeah, this slide again has our new Admit websites and also the upcoming events. So our virtual visit week is coming up next week. Exciting. We have a lot of events scheduled for new admits, and some of these are departmental breakout webinars where you can connect with faculty, staff, and students from your department and ask some technical questions about courses and other very department-specific questions. We also will have several social events where you can meet with our current students, and myself and Claire will be leading a couple of those. And we have some career services programming and other events, so please check out the website for the agenda. And another reminder, please put on your calendars that the deadline to respond to our offer is April 15th. And we all hope that you will decide to come. Thank you so much.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're just going to say farewell for now.
Take care.